Hi, I'm Arkush for ChicagoSunTimes.com with our review of the first weekend of the NFL playoffs. It was wild card action, and three of the favorites came home victorious. The one that didn't, the Pittsburgh Steelers, losing at home to the Baltimore Ravens. A little bit of a surprise, not a shock. The Steelers were forced to go without Le'Veon Bell, who injured his knee the week before in their division-clinching win. Josh Harris, Ben Tate, Dree Archer, it just wasn't enough. Add to that the Ravens got back Haloti Ngata, and Joe Flacco went off, as he usually does, in the playoffs on the road, and it was actually a fairly easy victory by the time they got to the fourth quarter for the Baltimore Ravens. This is a team that went to the Super Bowl a couple years ago as a wild card. They're used to going and winning on the road, and they're now the team that nobody wants to see. They'll go to New England next Saturday night. In the early game on Saturday this past weekend, it was the Arizona Cardinals going to Carolina against the Panthers, and with a third-string quarterback, they just couldn't get it done. As a matter of fact, the Carolina Panthers set an NFL playoff record, holding the Cardinals to just 87 yards of total offense, never done before in the playoffs. But that's not really the story there. Everybody knew the Cardinals were going to struggle with injuries, both at quarterback and running back. It's the play of Cam Newton, who continues to come on. He's running the football much more impressively in recent weeks. The Panthers on a 5-game win streak. Now they're going to be the only double-digit underdog of the second weekend of the playoffs. When they go to Seattle, they'll be a big underdog, but they're playing excellent defense and they're running the football very well. That's a formula Seattle is used to. Of course, the Seahawks and the Patriots both off this weekend with their byes. On Sunday, Cincinnati comes up empty once again. Marvin Lewis can get into the playoffs. He just can't win when he gets there. 0-5 now. Andy Dalton, the same story. It really wasn't ever close. The score stayed tight for a while, but the Colts were in command the whole way. Andrew Luck, brilliant with 376 yards passing and 1 touchdown. And the Colts defense was outstanding in shutting down that Bengal running game. That was the big question about the Colts coming into the playoffs. We knew that they could put up points. Can they take care of the football, and can they play defense? They did both very well against Cincinnati. They now will have a real test as well, as they will go to Denver next weekend. Andrew Luck playing his mentor, Peyton Manning. That's the story everybody's going to want to try and make it, but Andrew Luck has said he doesn't have to play against Peyton Manning. He's got to play against that Denver defense. Of course, the Broncos off this weekend with their bye, the only team in the NFL in the top 5 in both offense and defense. And then the final game of the weekend, clearly the best game of the weekend and the most controversial. It's actually going to have an impact on the league maybe for years to come. It was the Dallas Cowboys 24, the Detroit Lions 20. Cowboys deserved to win. Nobody's suggesting they didn't. But a highly controversial pass interference call that was overturned with no explanation killed a Lions drive late in the game that might have led to the winning touchdown. And it's all 24 hours, 48 hours later. People still don't know exactly why it was overturned. In these playoffs, they do not use crews that officiate games. They get all-star crews. They break them up. They're rated all season long. Then they pick the best at each spot: line judge, side judge, field judge. So this was a crew that did not work together in Dallas, and the best explanation I've had is that the communication must have been off, because the flag clearly shouldn't have been picked up. It was pass interference. There was also defensive holding on the play, and yet the Lions got nothing. They ended up having to punt. They lose the game by 4 points. But that's not the whole story. The Dallas Cowboys fought back. They were down 14-0. Tony Romo in these situations in the past has lost. This time he rallied his team around him, did an excellent job bringing them back. DeMarco Murray refused to lose, as did Dez Bryant, and a big game from Jason Witten. Dallas Cowboys defense toughened up in the second half. And again, the question about this team, can they play defense well enough to win in the playoffs? Well, they did Sunday against the Detroit Lions. A tougher test now, though, as they go to Green Bay next Sunday. First time they'll meet in Green Bay in the playoffs since the Ice Bowl in 1967, and the early weather forecast is going to be pretty nippy again. Should make for some great action. That does it for the first weekend of the NFL playoffs. We've got the divisional playoffs coming up this weekend. We'll preview those for you later in the week. For now, for the best in all sports, no matter what it is, you want to stay right where you're at ChicagoSunTimes.com.